As usual, hello fellow basketball lovers. In this video we'll continue the international trend and today we're checking out who are the best French basketball players to have stepped on an NBA court. As usual, we will focus on the workload that these players have accounted for while playing in the NBA only, without focusing on their international play, either in other leagues or at a national team level. Let's jump straight into it.
Omelette de fromage.
To kickstart our list, we have Killian Hayes at number 10. It might sound a bit too early to place him on this list, given the talent pool that France has sent to the NBA, but he is here thanks to his potential and the continued expansion of his game over the first 3 years in the league. Killian was the 7th overall pick in 2020, and he'll be just 22 years old when playing year number 4 in the league. He has gradually increased his per-game averages while slowly being inserted in the starting lineup of the Detroit Pistons, and in 2023 he averaged a solid 10.3 points per game and 6.2 assists per game. The 2024 season could be some sort of a breakout one for him, just because Detroit's backcourt is jammed with young promising guys such as Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey or Monte Morris. But if Killian can fight his way through the rotation this year and earn playing time, his numbers can go even higher. This will be especially relevant since Killian is on the last year of his rookie contract, and he'll be extra motivated to have a good season. Moving to number 9, we have a player who is mostly remembered by the Orlando Magic fans, Michael Pietrou. The 11th pick in 03, Pietrou built a solid career in the NBA, which lasted 10 years. Over this time, he played for 5 different teams and he was mostly used as a versatile spark that came off the bench. His time spent with the Orlando Magic should count as the best years of his NBA tenure, as the small forward went all the way to the NBA Finals in 09, where he provided almost 10 points per game in the 6-man role. Another notable accomplishment of his career was being part of the so-called We Believe Golden State Warriors team, which beat the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks in the first round of the 2007 playoffs. Michael also played a key reserve role for the Boston Celtics in 2012, when the team took the Miami Heat to 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, with Pietrou playing in all 20 games and averaging around 20 minutes per game. His career averages don't necessarily impress, and his offense, which mostly consisted of spot-up shots, was complemented by his good defensive skills, where he could bother any shot with his long hands and athletic abilities. Pietrou was also a good off-ball defender and a solid shot blocker, and he even received some votes for the All-NBA defensive team. At number 8, let's check out Ian Mahinmi. Ian is the kind of player that goes deep on the bench, but he was a very good rebounder and very mobile for a center. Mahinmi can provide you occasional spark play, may it be a block shot or a flashy move around the basket, and these are the kind of plays that can energize a team and turn a game around. His first 3 years in the league were rough, as he only played in 32 total games, especially due to an ankle injury. Nevertheless, Mahinmi slowly became a guaranteed presence in the playoffs, where he played for 8 of his 12 years career. You could make a case that Mahinmi benefited from playing on good teams and no one can argue against it. He was part of the Paul George Pacers teams that took the Miami Heat to 7 and 6 games in back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals. But, most importantly, and I don't know how many of you know this, Ian Mahinmi is an NBA champion. Mahinmi was part of the Dallas Mavericks team that beat Miami in the 2011 finals. Although he was used in a limited role, Mahinmi even saw playoff action that year, playing in 6 total games. On an individual level, Mahinmi showed that he can contribute a lot more if given a bigger role. In 2016, he was the starting center for the Pacers, and he almost doubled his points and rebounds averages. But his contributions took a hit next year when he signed with the Washington Wizards, and once again was delegated to the bench. All in all, Ian Mahinmi had a solid 12 years career, and he has an NBA ring to brag about. We now move to number 7, where we find Ronny Turiaf, who in most parts is a similar player and had a similar career as to Ian Mahinmi's. Ronnie was a center as well, and he also benefited from playing on great teams for periods of his career. Selected by the Lakers in the second round of the 2005 draft, Diaw played in two NBA Finals. First in 2008 when the Lakers were defeated by the Celtics, and second in 2012 when, as a member of the Miami Heat, Ronnie won the title against the OKC Thunder. Although he was a reserve for most of his career, Ronnie's best season came in 2009 when playing for the Golden State Warriors. That year, he put together an impressive defensive performance. Even if he only started in 26 out of the 79 games he played that season, he finished 6th in defensive box plus minus, 4th in blocks per game, 3rd in total blocks, and 1st in the league in blocks percentage. That's even more impressive when you think that the guy only played in 21 minutes per game. In my ranking, I've rewarded Diaw's defensive skills, longevity, and most importantly the fact that he's an NBA champ. Moving to number 6, we go with an active player by the name of Evan Fournier. At an individual level, Fournier has compiled the best career out of everyone ranked until now. The 20th pick in 2012 already has 11 years under his belt, and after a slow start with the Denver Nuggets, where he was mostly a bench player, he got traded to the Orlando Magic, where he gradually got the starting job. Fournier alternated roles on the Magic by juggling between the shooting guard and small forward positions, and for 7 years he did most of his damage as a scorer, peaking at 18.5 points per game in 2020. Although a very talented player on the offensive end, his defense has always lacked a step. This was evidenced in 2022 when Fournier set the New York Knicks franchise record for most three-pointers made in a season with 241 shots made, on an impressive 38.9%. However, the Knicks allowed 2.3 more points per 100 possessions with him on the floor. After starting in all 80 games that season for the Knicks, Fournier's role with the team has plummeted last year and he only played in 27 games, somehow putting a dark spot on his value in the league and overall trade value. The reason for this is his relationship with the coaching staff, and in the 2023 off-season, Fournier even declared that he wants to be traded, and that he doesn't understand the logic of the organization. In my opinion, a six-man role on a contending team would be the perfect role for him, as he can function as a microwave scorer coming off the bench. At number 5 we have another active player, Nicolas Batum. Drafted 2015-08, Batum already has 15 years of NBA experience. Now a member of the Philadelphia 76ers, his role might have diminished over the last couple of years, as he's now playing backup at the power forward position. Still, Prime Batum was a menace for any offense, as until recently he was widely considered one of the best defenders in the league, and he is usually tasked with guarding the opposing team's best player. Combine this with an excellent all-around offensive game and your team gets a reliable glue guy who can make life easier for everyone, especially for the superstar on your team. To put his all-around game in perspective, Batum had one of the best seasons of his career in 2017, when he was a member of the Charlotte Hornets. For the season, he averaged north of 15 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game and 1 steal per game. Considered by many a 3&D type of player, Batum has a career 3-point percentage of 36.5, and he received All-NBA defensive team votes in 6 different seasons. Among other accomplishments, he finished top 20 in assists per game in 3 different seasons, and he is set to enter top 35 on the NBA all-time 3-pointers made list. I've talked about this in another video as well, but in the 2024 season, Nicolas Batum is set to play in game number 1000 of his career. That's a pretty remarkable journey. We continue with number 4 of our top 10 with Rudy Gobert. Rudy started his career in 2013 with the Utah Jazz. After coming off the bench for the first year and a half, the Utah Jazz traded away their starting center, Enes Kanter, to let Gobert take the reins of the center spot. From the get-go, Rudy displayed excellent defensive abilities and he anchored Utah's defense for 9 years. During this time, Gobert established himself as one of the best defenders in the league, and he was rewarded with 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. An interesting stat which is directly linked with Rudy Gobert's defensive skills is that since the season he got inserted into the starting lineup, the Utah Jazz finished in top 10 in defensive rating in 6 out of 8 seasons. Gobert's resume includes not only 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, but also 3 All-Star selections, 4-time All-NBA and 6-time All-NBA Defensive Team selections, and he's also a 1-time blocks champ and 1-time rebounding champ. The downside of his game is on the offensive end, as Gobert is only getting buckets in the low post, and in this 3-point era that we're witnessing, he hasn't made a single 3-point shot since joining the NBA. His career field goal percentage is more than great, sitting at 65.4%. However, his looks mostly come from dunks, layups and putbacks, as he doesn't even have a great mid-range game. Gobert was traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2022, but year 1 didn't look too promising, as his limitations on the offensive end have cramped up the driving lanes for the team's best guards, especially for Anthony Edwards. One strange stat correlated to Rudy is that the Timberwolves not only had a better offensive rating without him on the floor, but their defensive rating was 1.3 points better as well when he was not playing. All in all, Gobert's impact on the court is still undeniable, and he also has the hardware to prove it, as he is one of the most decorated French players to have played in the NBA. And on to the next one. At number 3 we have Boris Diaw. Although Boris is not as decorated as Gobert, not even making it to one All-Star game, I feel like he understood his role a lot better and he impacted the game in key moments. Moreover, during his 14-year career, Boris played for 5 different teams and he fit well in each of these. There's always value in having a glue guy on your team, a player who can connect with everyone on the squad and who can make impact plays in key times of a game. This is Boris in a nutshell. His game had the perfect mix of stellar post-game, great passing skills, and he could also hit the occasional three, and this makes him the perfect guy to stretch the floor from the power forward position. Furthermore, he played excellent defense, and there are people who praise him for how he defended LeBron James in the 2014 NBA Finals. So basically, Diaw is the type of player that gives you a little bit of everything. After spending his first 2 years with the Atlanta Hawks, Boris was traded to the Phoenix Suns. In his first season there, he increased his per-game averages by a whopping margin from 4-2 to 13 points, 7 rebounds and 6 assists per game. This accomplishment led him to winning the 06 Most Improved Player award. Boris was also part of the Spurs teams that played in the NBA Finals against the Heat in 2013 and 2014. He was an integral part of the team's success, and needless to say, he became an NBA champion in 2014. Some may compare him to Draymond Green from an impact on the game perspective, as for both players, the numbers don't do them justice. We continue with number 2 on our list, where we have Joakim Noah. Although Boris Diaw had a longer and more consistent career, I'm placing Noah one spot above him thanks to his prime period, in which he was the leader of the Chicago Bulls organization. Drafted number 9 in 07, Noah has steadily evolved and earned a spot in the starting lineup by his 3rd season in the league. That's also the first time when he averaged a double-double for an entire year and cemented himself as a defensive anchor and rim protector. His leadership on the defensive end allowed the Chicago Bulls to function so well, most notably after Derrick Rose's injuries started piling up. From 2009 to 2014, Joakim Noah led the Bulls, but his averages of 11 points, 11 rebounds and 3 assists per game over these years don't convince most people that he was a superstar, although he was the lone reason why the Bulls were making the playoffs year after year. His defensive leadership also translated into Chicago finishing top 2 in defensive rating in the same period. On an individual level, Noah made 2 All-Star teams, he was selected once in the All-NBA first team and 3 times to the All-NBA defensive team. He also has a Defensive Player of the Year award under his belt, and in 2014 he finished number 4 in MVP voting. On the offensive end of the floor, Noah impressed with his passing skills, especially in that 2014 campaign when he averaged 5.4 assists per game. Unfortunately for him, a series of injuries have taken a toll on his game, and his career started falling apart since the 2015 season. He was hoping to jumpstart his career after signing with the Knicks, but in 2 seasons he only managed to play in 53 total games. His career also included brief stints with the Memphis Grizzlies and most recently with the Clippers in 2020, but to no avail. In other circumstances, his career might have been different, and Noah might have been in the league even for the 2024 season. And we finally get to number 1, the best French basketball player to have set foot on an NBA court, Tony Parker. Parker was just inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2023, making him the first French player to achieve this accomplishment. Parker joined the Spurs in 2001, and it only took him 5 games to be inserted in the starting lineup. TP joined a Spurs organization that knows how to nurture talent, and he has benefited tremendously of a great cast, alongside Ginobili, Duncan, and arguably the best coach in NBA history, Greg Popovich. He's a career 15.5 points and 5.6 assists per game provider, and he brilliantly orchestrated the offense of 4 NBA title-winning teams. Not only that, but he also was named the Finals MVP in 2007, another accomplishment he can proudly say that he's the first French individual to achieve. Besides leading the Spurs offense, I think his defense has flown under the radar during his playing years. The 6'2" guard had an unappreciated speed, which allowed him to stay in front of the attacker. He also had good hands and read the passing lanes, got steals and translated these into fast break opportunities. Playing with 2 other superstars meant that he was not the focal point every night, which is something that helped prolong the careers of the entire trio of Ginobili, Duncan and Parker. At an individual level, besides winning 4 rings and playing in 5 NBA Finals, Parker was a 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA selection, and part of the All-Rookie First Team. Finally, TP also finished top 10 in MVP voting in 4 different seasons. With that being said, Tony Parker is definitely the most decorated French player to have played in the NBA, and that's why he's number 1 on my list as well. That's it for this episode. Let me know in the comment section below what do you think about this top 10. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.